I don't know if it's just me, but lately I've been thinking about flying in airlines, and I have to say it seems more dangerous now than ever. And what's crazy to think is that if you have ever talked to somebody who is on the older side, maybe they've been around for a few decades, and you ask them, hey, what did airplanes look like a few decades ago? You would be surprised to hear that a few decades ago, the rules were much less strict. I have heard stories that in the past you could get on an airplane like how you could get on a bus. You just go right on. But now, of course, because of terrorist attacks and incidents here and there, things are so much more strict on planes. But the one thing that is not improving is airline safety. Just being able to get on the plane, not die, touch down on the ground, enjoy wherever you travel to, and then maybe return back to your destination. And I did just want to yap about it because I have never really had too many fears about flying, but unfortunately those fears seem to be building. And if you have not watched Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal, I encourage you to. There are some weird moments here and there, like when Nathan Fielder turns himself into a baby. It is so weird and so out there. But season 2 is primarily focused on airline safety because it clearly is a big problem. I'm going to be talking more about it in this video, but there is so much data and so much fact to point to the fact that air traffic controllers are struggling from being severely understaffed, and it's definitely represented in media. I don't remember too much, but I do remember Breaking Bad definitely tackled a situation about air traffic controllers. Point being, going back to The Rehearsal, Nathan Fielder ends up doing some wild stuff. This is a spoiler warning about Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal. I'm sure if you've read online a little bit, maybe you've seen some clips here and there about the miracle on the Mojave, where, I kid you not, Nathan Fielder literally gets his commercial pilot license. He learns how to fly, and then he flies a Boeing 737 completely full of people. It was absolutely impressive, but there were some surprising things. The first surprising thing was that Fielder ends up pointing out that in order to fly a Boeing 737, all you have to do is pass a simulation test, and then you can fly one. So what's crazy is in order to get into a 737 to fly it, all you have to do is do a simulation. So it is really nerving and scary to think about the fact that if you go on a Boeing 737, someone who is flying that plane, it might actually be their first time actually flying the physical plane, because previously the only thing they got was the simulation. Now that to me is pretty scary, but there is a flip side to this, because Nathan Fielder did the simulation, got into the actual plane, and then he was able to take off and land, and he did a fantastic job. So I have to say, about The Rehearsal, I do hope that the show has some impact. I did see that Nathan Fielder was in a lot of interviews on CNN, so I do hope that his show and his art has a huge impact on airline safety. The show mostly focused in on how the two pilots in the cockpit don't really get to know each other, and sometimes one person in the cockpit won't be very accepting of feedback. And then if there's a dangerous situation and they're not accepting of feedback or ideas, they could seriously put a lot of people's lives at risk. So anyways, back to my point, back to my initial statement, what exactly has been happening lately that has been making me feel more on edge about getting in an airplane? Well, first things first, a few years ago, I traveled internationally for the first time. I flew right over water, and I have to say, it was actually an amazing flight. The airline that I traveled was NIAS, and holy cow, it was amazing. But in that same year, my first time traveling internationally, that was when I think it was like a Boeing airplane, the emergency doors just flew off mid-flight, which is absolutely crazy. And I do believe for that situation, no one got hurt. But it seems like the past month or two, there have been so many problems. This one, Southwest flight descends 475 feet to avoid mid-air collision with a Hawker Hunter. A Southwest flight rapidly descended 475 feet to avoid a Hawker Hunter aircraft on Friday. About 6 minutes after Southwest flight 1496 took off from Hollywood Burbank Airport in Los Angeles County, it abruptly descended from 14,000 feet to 13,625 feet. A passenger on the flight, Steve, who said that they experienced what felt like a significant drop. The pilot announced that they had performed the maneuver to avoid a mid-air collision. Southwest Airlines said in a statement that 2 flight attendants are being treated for injuries after the incident. The other plane, a Hawker Hunter with the N number N335AX, was at an altitude of approximately 14,653 feet when the Southwest flight began to descend. The planes were 4.86 miles apart at their closest point. A source told ABC News that there were multiple Hawker Hunter Hunter aircrafts in the area doing a normal operation at the time. Southwest said the flight continued to its destination of Las Vegas, where it landed uneventfully. The airline added that it is working with the Federal Aviation Administration to further understand the circumstances of the event. When a plane's collision avoidance system detects a possible collision, the plane will either go up or down, and the other plane will do the opposite. On top of that, the FAA says it will investigate the incident between the SkyWest jet and a B-52. And again, this was another one just a few weeks ago. On Friday, a Delta regional jet on approach to Minot, North Dakota, made an aggressive maneuver to avoid a mid-air collision with a B-52 bomber, according to the Delta pilot. All of a sudden, we just jerked really hard to the right. We just kept taking more turns, and he gets on the announcement and says, "I'm sorry everybody, I'll explain everything once we've landed safely." Passenger Monica Green told ABC News following the incident. "Given his speed, I don't know how fast they were going, but they were a lot faster than us. I felt it was the safest thing to do to turn behind it," the pilot said, according to a recording of the conversation. "So sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. This is not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up, because the Air Force Base does have radar. Long story short, it was not fun, but I do apologize for it, and thanks for your understanding. Not a fun day at work." This area in North Dakota is home to an Air Force base with B-52 bombers. An Air Force spokesperson released a statement about the close call to ABC News on Monday, saying the B-52 aircraft pilots were not advised of the inbound commercial aircraft by air traffic control personnel. The B-52 crew contacted the Minot International Airport tower, and the tower provided instructions to continue 2 miles westbound after the flyover. The tower did not advise of the inbound commercial aircraft. Minot is known as a Class D airport and does not have radar. It operates under VFR or visual flight rules only. The controllers are contractors and not FAA employees. SkyWest said it's investigating the incident. So I don't know if it's just me, but it does seem like there are some common themes with a lot of these issues with airlines. It seems like there are a lot of near misses and or unfortunate collisions with commercial airplanes and military flight equipment. Again, it was not long ago what happened this year in 2025 with the Potomac River mid-air collision, which unfortunately ended with an American Airlines airplane and a U.S. Army Black Hawk colliding over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. And it does make me wonder, this kind of thing, is Nathan Fielder onto something here? Is it really about communication, rapport, and also setting up an environment where people feel welcome and encouraged to speak up, especially in the situation when there is an emergency? So this was another one that just happened. Passengers evacuated from plane onto Denver runway after landing gear issues sparked fire and left one injured.
More than 150 passengers were forced to evacuate an American Airlines flight after a landing gear issue sparked a fire. This happened just before takeoff. Watch. Passengers say they heard a loud bang. They saw flames. One witness says that the plane started shaking really violently before tilting to the side on the runway. American says that the fire started from a combination of blown tires and the plane decelerating as it braked. And one person was injured during that evacuation.
And again, this year there seems to be so many other incidences. Passengers evacuate onto the wing of an American Airlines plane after engine catches fire at Denver Airport. Now this one just absolutely flabbergasts me.
An American Airlines plane on fire at the Denver International Airport. This happened just a few moments ago, and this video has been circulating on social media showing the plane being extinguished as it was on the tarmac at the airport, not far from where the gate was. And look at what you're looking at here. Passengers standing on the wings of the plane, some of them carrying their bags as they seem to be trying to evacuate this plane. As you can see, the smoke filled as the tarmac and emergency workers nearby trying to get stairs up to those passengers standing on the wing of this plane. Now, here's what we're hearing from the FAA. They say this Boeing 737 was headed to Dallas. It's going from Colorado Springs. It diverted to Denver after there was some sort of engine vibration. We don't know exactly what as we are looking at this, but these are just the videos that we're getting in. You can see the emergency response, people responding very quickly to this as they are moving ahead with this. and seeing what's happening here.
And I just want to clarify, in this video, my goal is not to be fear-mongering. I get it. Most people go on a plane and they get off of it safely and nothing goes wrong. And so far, that's been my experience. I've never had an issue on a plane. And I don't want people watching this video to get scared now and fearful and say, I'm not going to go on a plane. It's the same thing as getting into a car. Unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that when we get into a car and we drive just 5 minutes down the road, we are accepting the small percentage and small risk that something might go wrong. And I'm sure most people have been in their fair share of car accidents. They're not fun. Sometimes you can get injured and sometimes it can be fatal. But it begs the question, when we're talking about airplanes and flying, a lot of the issues seem to be communication. A lot of the issues seem to come down to commercial airplanes having near misses or collisions with United States government property like military flying equipment. And it makes me wonder, as a consumer and a traveler, like Nathan Fielder said, are there improvements? Is there legislation that can happen to reduce these incidences and make sure that flying is safer for everybody? So I did find this fantastic news article from this year about air traffic control being understaffed in the Bay Area. I think they break down the problem very, very well, and I just wanted to go over it. Chronic understaffing of air traffic control towers may have contributed to last week's deadly crash between a military helicopter and a passenger flight in DC, which underscored a crisis at airports across the country, including the Bay Area. Data from the Federal Aviation Administration suggests that controllers in San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose are under similar strain as their counterparts in the other cities and states who work grueling hours and cover the duties of multiple people. At Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, one such worker was handling 2 jobs at the time of the stunning collision. It's been well known in the industry for a long time that this is an issue, said Max Trescott, a flight instructor and host of the Aviation News Talk podcast. He pointed out that many air traffic controllers have to work 60-hour weeks, making them more exhausted and undermining their performance. FAA's most recent annual report to Congress, called the Air Traffic Controller Workforce Plan, revealed how stark the labor shortage has become. According to the report, San Francisco International Airport had 22 certified air traffic controllers and another 6 in training as of September 2023, fewer than the target of 30 set by the FAA and the Controllers Union. Oakland International Airport appeared more severely understaffed with 19 certified controllers and 2 in training, a little more than half its target of 35. San Jose Mineta International Airport's tower had 11 certified controllers and 2 in training with a target of 15. Reagan National had 19 certified controllers and another 10 in training with a target of 30. Air traffic is so heavy at the airport, located a short distance from central Washington, that the FAA limits daily takeoffs and landings. Politicians routinely lobby for flights from the airport to their districts. Despite concerns over safety and delays, the Department of Transportation in December approved 5 new flights into Reagan National, including San Francisco route operated by United Airlines. The FAA's target for staffing included both certified controllers as well as certified controllers in training, who the agency says has previously been certified. Spokespeople at all 3 major Bay Area airports deferred requests for comment to the FAA, which manage control towers at airports throughout the country, in some cases contracting with private companies to staff them. A representative from San Jose Mineta said the airport had not seen any impacts from tower staffing. In many senses, the situation in Bay Area airport towers reflects a national problem. Managing air traffic is an incredibly difficult job that requires years of training. With a mandatory retirement age of 56, attrition bleeds airports of talent faster than they could hire and recruit, since each new hire must pass a battery of tests ranging from security clearances to psychological evaluations. The process to replace one controller who retires can take up to 3 years, said Joel Ortiz, Western Pacific Regional Vice President for the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. But airports such as San Francisco and Oakland also face unique challenges. These air facilities are so busy and complicated that only a limited pool of controllers are qualified to work there. Ortiz and others said those who pass all the tests and training programs or matriculate from smaller airports may be inhibited by the high cost of living in the Bay Area. Wages set by the FAA or its contractors haven't kept pace with other industries. The base pay for a controller at a small airport, such as the Buchanan Field Airport in Concord, I probably just butchered that pronunciation, is $68,721, according to NATCA's labor agreement with FAA. Top-tier controllers at a regional center in Fremont who manage airspace at 18,000 feet and above or cruising altitude for planes that take off from from Oakland International, or SFO, make $167,412. Ross Sagan, an aviation consultant who once served as an air traffic controller at the Buchanan Field Airport, said he's familiar with this calculus. Although San Francisco is among the more prestigious air towers, people who angle for jobs there must grapple with the same problems as other Bay Area workers, Sagan said. Among them, the possibility of a long commute and the quest to find an affordable place to live, which can dissuade qualified applicants. There's a whole plethora of factors coming into play, he said. Dissatisfaction over wages nearly upended business last week at the San Carlos Airport in Silicon Valley, where air traffic control workers resigned, airport officials said, after the FAA tapped a new contractor to operate the tower. The labor dispute forced a slew of frantic negotiations and prompted a congressman to intervene. FAA representatives said Friday that they reached an agreement with the air traffic controllers, though they did not release the terms. Managing flights and landings at an airport is complex and demanding, but critical to public safety, Sagan said. He and other experts noted all the lives put at risk when lean staffing leads to air traffic controllers being overburdened. Listening to audio recordings from the tower at Ronald Reagan on the night of January 29th, just before a Black Hawk helicopter struck an American Airlines jet, killing 64 people, Sagan expressed sympathy for the sole worker handling air traffic control. That controller was very, very busy, very task-saturated, Sagan said. I'm really hoping the investigators look at that workload issue. So yeah, I just thought that was a fantastic article covering even more problems that need to be tackled. And it just goes to show that people who work as air traffic controllers, it seems like the base pay is very low considering they are extremely overburdened. And that goes hand in hand with something that was tackled by Nathan Fielder in the rehearsal, because Nathan Fielder pointed out that pilots have to fill out a questionnaire. And if there is anything wrong, like they report feeling depression, feeling anxiety, feeling any sort of issue or symptom, they could have their license revoked like that. So it begs the question, there is an environment where pilots and air traffic controllers, do they feel welcomed and encouraged to open up, share their feelings, share about their stress of their job? It seems like they have to bottle everything up and take pay that just is not great. So I've heard stories about how pilots get paid quite a bit of money, and I've even heard stories about how pilots even like to work a lot because they make a fantastic amount of money, and I think that's great. But clearly there seems to be issues on the air traffic controller side. So all I'm getting at is, me personally, I wouldn't mind spending more money on a flight ticket if it means that everyone is going to be safer, air traffic controllers are going to get paid more, they won't be so overburdened in stress, and everything in general would just be safer. So I just wanted to yap about this because I personally just don't feel enough people are talking about this. I think for the general population, yeah, you could get on a plane and statistically nothing really is going to go wrong, but it seems like more and more there are more incidences happening, and it seems like that trend is going to continue until something changes. It is very clear that air traffic controllers need to be paid more. The understaffing issue needs to be tackled. There needs to be more incentives for people to get into this business. And unfortunately, me, just a single person, there's not much more I can do than to make a video, raise awareness, and hopefully trigger some change. And I have to say, I'm really proud of Nathan Fielder. That man, I mean, there's spoilers about season 2 of Rehearsal. That man really did a lot to raise awareness, and I think we need to continue talking about this like everything else so that there's more awareness raised and so that we could tackle these problems and bring some solutions to the table. So in ending, all I gotta say is I cannot imagine how stressful it is to be an air traffic controller. If anyone is watching this who does that as a job, I have a lot of respect for you. I appreciate the work that you do, and leave a comment. If there's something that can be done, leave a comment. So I gotta say, I'm gonna be much more appreciative when I go on a flight. I am gonna clap. If there is a way that I can say thank you to air traffic controllers, I don't know if there is, but I wish I could. Anyways, just something I need to talk about. Thanks for watching.